He was 17 years old, and as he looked up from the bottom of that dry pit, his hands scraped from being thrown in, his beautiful coat ripped from his back, the last thing he heard before the merchants arrived was the sound of his brother sitting down to eat. Not crying, not arguing, eating. Before we go any further, if stories like this move you, if you believe ancient words still carry real weight for real life, hit subscribe and drop a like. It keeps these stories alive. Now, let's go back to where this all began. Jacob had 12 sons, but everyone knew he had a favorite, Joseph, born to Rachel, the wife Jacob had loved most, and Jacob made no effort to hide it. He gave Joseph a coat of many colors, a garment that wasn't just beautiful, it was a statement. This one is different. This one is mine. His brothers saw it. Every single day they saw it. And the hatred grew slowly, quietly, the way a fire grows in dry grass, invisible until it isn't. Then Joseph made it worse, not out of arrogance, but out of honesty, which, depending on the room you're in, can be just as dangerous. He had a dream in it. His brothers' bundles of wheat bowed down to his. He told them about it. They hated him more. He had another dream, the sun, the moon, and 11 stars all bowing to him. Even his own father raised an eyebrow. But Jacob kept the matter in mind. Something in it unsettled him in a way he couldn't explain. Then came the day Jacob sent Joseph to check on his brothers, far out in the fields. The brothers saw him coming from a distance, that coat, even from far away, that coat. Here comes the dreamer, they said, and they planned to kill him. Reuben, the oldest, talked him out of murder, throw him in a pit instead. His plan was to return later and rescue Joseph quietly. But while Reuben was away, a caravan passed merchants heading to Egypt. Judah looked at his brothers and said, "What do we gain by killing him? Let's sell him." 20 pieces of silver, that's what Joseph's life was worth to his own family. They pulled him from the pit, handed him over, and watched the caravan disappear into the horizon. Then they dipped his coat in goat's blood and brought it to their father. Jacob collapsed. He tore his clothes. He wept for days. "A wild animal has devoured my son." And no one could comfort him because the people pretending to mourn were the ones who had done it. Joseph arrived in Egypt as a slave, sold to Potiphar, one of Pharaoh's officials, and here is where you have to pay attention, because this is the part most people rush past. The text says, "The Lord was with Joseph." Not that life became easy. He was still a slave in a foreign country, separated from everyone he loved, but something in him refused to become bitter. He worked with everything he had, and Potiphar noticed he was put in charge of the entire household. Then Potiphar's wife accused him of something he didn't do. He went to prison. Again, the Lord was with Joseph. He interpreted dreams for 2 fellow prisoners, a baker and a cupbearer. He asked the cupbearer to mention his name to Pharaoh. The man was released and forgot Joseph completely. 2 more years passed in that cell. 22 years in total, from the pit to the palace. Then Pharaoh had a nightmare no one could explain. 7 fat cows devoured by 7 starving ones. 7 healthy stalks swallowed by 7 withered ones. The cupbearer finally remembered the man in the prison. Joseph was brought before the greatest ruler in the known world, unshaved, walking out of a cell, and told him the truth. 7 years of abundance followed by 7 years of famine that would devastate the land. Pharaoh looked at him and said, "Who else is like this man? Someone in whom the Spirit of God lives." And one morning, Joseph went from prisoner to second in command of all of Egypt. The famine came and spread far beyond Egypt's borders, reaching Canaan, reaching home. His brothers traveled to Egypt to buy grain. They didn't recognize the man in royal robes standing before them, but Joseph recognized them immediately. He could have destroyed them with a single word. Instead, he turned away and wept in private. He tested them not out of cruelty, but to see if they had changed, and when he finally saw that they had, he cleared the room and said, in their own language, "I am Joseph. Is my father still alive?" 20 years of guilt rushed into that room all at once. And Joseph, the one they had betrayed, the one they had sold, pulled them close and wept on their necks. "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good." Here's what this story asks you today. What if the worst thing that ever happened to you is still in the middle of its story, not the end? What if the pit you're in right now is not your grave, but your beginning? Joseph didn't become great despite the betrayal. The betrayal was the road. And maybe yours is too.